tonight I thought I'd read to you Maggie Muggins again. Let me see, I need to get situated here first, right? Maggie and the Turtle. Maggie Muggins, this is your first time hearing Peach about Maggie, so just listen, okay? Maggie Muggins was running her very runniest. She wasn't hurrying to get in out of the rain because it wasn't raining. Maggie Muggins had something on her mind, and so she was hurrying to Mr. McGarity. When he saw her coming, like the wind, he called out a merry, "Whoa there, Maggie, whoa, whoa." "I haven't time to whoa, Mr. McGarity," said the breathless little Maggie Muggins. "What's the matter?" asked her old friend, the gardener. "Is there a fire somewhere?" "No, sir," said Maggie, panting for breath. "Worse." "Worse than a fire? Not a flood, I hope," said Mr. McGarity. "No, sir," said the excited Maggie. "It's not a flood." "Well then, Maggie," said Mr. McGarity, "for goodness sake, tell me what has happened." "Something terrible, Mr. McGarity," said Maggie. "No. Yes. You know my turtle Slowboy," said Maggie. "I know him very well indeed," said Mr. McGarity. "Well, after my mother and father and you, I love that turtle more than anybody in the whole world. And Mr. McGarity, he's gone," said Maggie. "He's gone?" asked Mr. McGarity. "Yes," said Maggie Muggins. "But how can he be gone?" said Mr. McGarity. "You keep him in a goldfish bowl, Maggie." "I know," said Maggie, "but this morning when I was changing the water in the bowl, Mr. McGarity, I noticed a sad look on Slowboy's face. He didn't smile at me. That was something new for Slowboy, and I'll tell you because why. The very first thing Slowboy always does in the morning is smile at me." "And he didn't smile this morning?" said puzzled Mr. McGarity. "No. So I asked him what was the matter," said Maggie. "A very smart thing to do, Maggie. It's always well to get to the root of the trouble right away," said Mr. McGarity. "Yes, and do you know what he told me the trouble was?" said Maggie. "I have no idea," said Mr. McGarity. "He told me he wanted to wash his underwear," said Maggie Muggins. I love this Maggie Muggins. She is so fun. "He told me he wanted to wash his underwear," said Maggie Muggins. Mr. McGarity burst out laughing. He shook from the crown of his straw hat to the tip of his black shoes with merriment. "Oh, Maggie," he laughed, "he didn't." "Yes, he did," said Maggie with a straight face. "He said he couldn't very well wash his underwear in a goldfish bowl in front of everyone." "I can understand that," still laughed Mr. McGarity. "It's nothing to laugh at, sir," said Maggie. I beg your pardon, Maggie," said Mr. McGarity, trying to straighten his face. "And if I were you, I'd not worry another minute." "But I am worrying because when he told me he wanted to wash his underwear, I put a cake of soap on his shell and told him to go down to the pond and do his washing. I told him to come back as soon as he had finished," said Maggie, "and he hasn't come back." "Well now, Maggie," said Mr. McGarity, "if he hasn't washed his underwear since he went to live in the goldfish bowl, it's going to need a lot of rubbing." Oh my God, that's the most ridiculous. I love this. "But when he didn't come back, Mr. McGarity, I went down to the pond. I found the cake of soap, but there was no turtle," said Maggie Muggins. "Oh," said Mr. McGarity, and he wasn't laughing now. "This looks serious." "I know, Mr. McGarity," said Maggie. "I think Slowboy got drowned." Mr. McGarity shook his head. He knew this could not be true. "How could a turtle get drowned, Maggie? They are quite at home in the water," he said. "Yes, but he might not got soap suds in his nose and fainted or something," said Maggie. The twinkles were coming back into Mr. McGarity's eyes. "Your mother doesn't faint when she gets soap suds in her nose, does she, Maggie?" "No, sir, but my mother isn't a turtle," said the little girl. "That's true," said Mr. McGarity. "Maggie," he went on, "did you call Slowboy when you went to the pond?" "Oh, yes, I called him, but he didn't answer me," said Maggie. "Dear me," said Mr. McGarity. "Did you look for turtle tracks in the mud, Maggie?" "No, sir." "Then that's what you should do," said Mr. McGarity. "Follow the tracks Slowboy made in the mud and see where they lead to." "Why didn't I think of that before?" said Maggie. "I'll do that, Mr. McGarity. and I'll come right back and tell you what I find out." So Maggie Muggins left the garden as quickly as she had come. She went through the cucumber bed, past the scarlet runners, over the cabbage patch to the meadow and the pond, and the cake of soap. She looked at once for turtle tracks, and she found them. They led to the berry bush. Maggie parted the branches of the berry bushes and called, Slow boy, are you there?" There was no answer, so Maggie parted the branches still further, and she saw Slow Boy huddled behind a curtain of leaves. His underwear was gleaming clean, but his shell was not on him. "Slow Boy Turtle, come out here," said Maggie. In a slow voice, Slow Boy answered, "Maggie Muggins, I can't." "Slow Boy Turtle, you can so," said Maggie. "You put your shell on and come right out here." "That's the trouble," said Slow Boy. "I can't put on my shell. My shell is gone." "Gone?" gasped Maggie. "Your shell is gone?" "Yes," said Slow Boy, slow tears welling up in his eyes. "I took it off while I washed my underwear. After I had my washing finished, I turned around to get my shell, and it wasn't there." "Oh, Slow Boy, who took it?" said Maggie. "I don't know," sobbed Slow Boy. "I just know it's gone. And I can't come out of the berry bushes because I look silly without my shell." Poor Turtle Boy, huh? "Oh, Slow Boy, who took it? I don't know. I just know it's gone." Okay. Maggie Muggins had to agree with him. A turtle without a shell is a pretty silly looking thing. So she told him to stay where he was, and she'd go home to see if she could find something for him to put on. She came back with a big silver napkin ring. He slipped into it and rolled right out of the berry bushes and down into the pond. "Oh, I'm sorry," cried Maggie as he helped Slow Boy out of the water. Slow Boy, now puffing from his troubles, said, "Maggie, I'm afraid a napkin ring won't do. Haven't you got anything flat like a shell?" Maggie went back to the house to return with a tea plate that was covered with rambling roses. Slow Boy looked at it. He was unhappy enough as it was. But when he saw the rambling roses on the plate, he was more unhappy than ever. He looked at Maggie with sad eyes. "Don't look so sad, Slow Boy," Maggie said. "If I set this plate on your back, it will look just like a shell. And if you walk carefully, well, it won't fall off." "But Maggie, haven't you got one without roses?" asked Slow Boy. "A man doesn't like to be wearing roses." Maggie shook her head. "All of our tea plates have roses on them," she said. "And besides, you won't have to wear it long, Slow Boy. We'll find your shell." "But where?" asked Slow Boy. "I don't know," said Maggie, "but Mr. McGarity will know, and I'm going to ask him right away where a person finds lost turtle shells." Maggie left Slow Boy and went back to the garden. Mr. McGarity could tell by her face that she had found the turtle, but he wasn't ready for her question. "Mr. McGarity, where is Slow Boy Turtle's shell?" "What did you say, Maggie?" cried Mr. McGarity in great surprise. "I said, where's Slow Boy's shell?" said Maggie. "Oh, him, I would presume." "On him," said Mr. McGarity. "Then your presumer is out of order, Mr. McGarity, and I'll tell you the because why. When I went back to the pond, I found the turtle tracks, and those turtle tracks walked to the berry bushes. I followed them, and I looked into the bushes, and there was Slow Boy Turtle all cuddled up under some leaves. He was in his underwear, Mr. McGarity. When he was washing that underwear, someone came along and took his shell. And if you ever saw a silly-looking thing, it's a turtle without a shell." Mr. McGarity laughed at the very thought of it. "I can believe that, Maggie," he said. "I can." "Yes," said Maggie. "And Mr. McGarity, Slow Boy wouldn't come out of the berry bushes until he had something to put on. I got him a napkin ring, but he rolled into the pond when he wore it. Then I got him a tea plate, but he doesn't like the roses on it." "Well, I can't say that I blame him," said Mr. McGarity. "A man doesn't like to wear roses." "That's just what Slow Boy said Maggie. "So, Mr. McGarity, where is his shell?" "I'm sure I don't know, Maggie," said Mr. McGarity. "But you've got to think, Mr. McGarity, you're a man, and so is Slow Boy. I think one man should help another," said Maggie Muggins. "I guess you're right," said Mr. McGarity. "Well, let's start at the beginning. Who would take that shell? Have you seen anyone around here this morning, Maggie?" "I haven't seen anybody," said Maggie. But I did hear a lot of crickets over in the geranium bed. They were singing, Maggie laughed. It sounded as if they were having a concert. Mr. McGarrity's eyes brightened and he snapped his fingers. That's it, Maggie. Or my red-handled hoe isn't red. The crickets are having a concert and they've borrowed Slowboy's shell for a stage. Oh my God, this book, I love this book. Oh, so good. Crazy the way it's written. Mr. McGarrity's, Mr. McGarity and Maggie Muggins, that's just what happened. And just wait until I tell those crickets a thing or two. Maggie raced back to Slowboy. They both went to the geranium bed. The turtle shell was there. Mrs. Lotta Cricket was standing on it, and so were 100 other crickets. They were using it for a stage. Mrs. Cricket was saying, "Now we'll sing our next song. It's called The Wicked Frog Who Ate the Cricket." "Before you start, Mrs. Cricket," called out Maggie, "Slowboy Turtle would like his shell." Oh no, cried Mrs. Cricket. "He can't have it now. We need it for a stage." "You don't need it as much as Slowboy does," said Maggie, "so give Slowboy his shell, Mrs. Cricket." Mrs. Lotta Cricket's eyes filled with tears, and through the tears she told Maggie and Slowboy that the tickets were all sold for the concert. She said that every bug and beetle, every grasshopper and cricket in the whole garden was coming to the concert, and there would be no concert at all without a stage. Maggie said she was sorry, but Mrs. Cricket, you must know how Slowboy feels walking around with a rosy tea plate on his back. Slowboy smiled a slow smile and then said, "I do want my shell, but if it's going to spoil the concert, I'll wait until the concert is over. You can use my shell for a stage if you ask Maggie Muggins and me to the concert, Mrs. Cricket." "Oh, of course, said Mrs. Cricket. And so Maggie and Slowboy stayed to the concert, and they heard Mrs. Lotta Cricket singing the frog song. Miss Frog went to the lily pond, and she hid in a thicket, because la 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 la, I'm going to catch a cricket. The cricket heard Miss Froggy's words, and he said, "No, Miss Frog, no cricket you will eat today. I've hidden in a log." I'm sure that's not how she really sang it, but everyone cheered Mrs. Cricket. And she came out again and bowed her thanks. Then Slowboy went back to the goldfish bowl, and Maggie went back to Mr. McGarity. She told him all that had happened. He laughed merrily as Maggie sang, "Tra-la-la-la-la-la-lee, a cricket concert I did see. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow." Yay for Maggie Muggins and the what? Puppies? Maggie and the turtle. No more roses on his back, huh?